Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a massive environmental policy from the Ministry of Environment, Forest, and Climate Change, the Western Ghats ESA draft. Now, this isn't your standard run-of-the-mill regulatory update. This is a foundational document that is literally going to dictate the ecological and economic future of one of the most critical, vibrant landscapes in all of India. And to really understand the stakes here, just look at this number. 50 million. That is the estimated number of people actually living right in this region. We need to establish this human element right off the bat because it makes it clear that we're dealing with far more than just a conservation document. It's a real-world blueprint for the future of 50 million lives, their daily livelihoods, and their safety, all of which are deeply intertwined with a completely invaluable and fragile natural environment. Okay, let's dive into this 200-plus page Gazette notification. We're going to cover 1. A global biodiversity treasure. 2. The core challenges. 3. Mapping the sensitive areas. 4. Key prohibitions and bans. 5. Regulated activities and rights. And finally, 6. Future outlook and implementation. Starting with Section 1, a global biodiversity treasure. The Western Ghats isn't just a local forest. It is an absolute global priority. We're talking about a region stretching a staggering 1,500 kilometers across 6 Indian states. It's actually recognized on the UNESCO World Natural Heritage list. For millions of people, it acts as the vital origin point for major rivers like the Godavari, Krishna, and Cauvery. But beyond water security, it's a literal cradle for biological evolution, harboring incredibly rare endemic species like the Lion-tailed Macaque and the Nilgiri Tahr. It is a living, breathing natural treasury.
Moving right along to Section 2, the core challenges.
So you can see the incredibly delicate balancing act the government faces here. On one side, we have extreme ecological vulnerability. The source text makes it very clear that parts of the Western Ghats are highly prone to severe landslide hazards and the rapid degradation of pristine ecosystems. But on the exact same token, you have human development. You've got a high population density with completely valid developmental aspirations. So the government is essentially walking a tightrope, trying to ensure the survival of a fragile ecology without choking the economic life out of a region that supports 50 million citizens. Which brings us to Section 3, mapping the sensitive areas. Just look at this breakdown. We're talking about a proposed ecologically sensitive area, or ESA, totaling over 56,000 square kilometers. Honestly, that's larger than several countries. As you can see, Karnataka and Maharashtra hold the lion's share of the area. It's also really worth noting the meticulous process behind all this. For instance, the state of Kerala actually undertook physical, on-the-ground verification to refine their boundary down to just under 10,000 square kilometers. It just goes to show how seriously these states are taking these borders. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the mapping effort. Every single one of those points represents specific geocoordinates, mapping out the exact, literal limits of the sensitive zone. This isn't just some broad, vague brushstroke by policymakers. It is a highly detailed, village-by-village demarcation. Even when you look at a state with a much smaller footprint, like Gujarat, where there's just 449 square kilometers involved, the exact same rigor applies. The boundary is drawn out coordinate by coordinate. This ensures there is absolute legal clarity on exactly where the ecologically sensitive area begins and where it ends. Now for Section 4, key prohibitions and bans. Zooming in on the strict legalities, we see absolute prohibitions on the left, like a complete ban on new, highly polluting red category industries and any new thermal power projects. But on the right, you'll see the notification makes very logical, human-centric allowances. Existing healthcare establishments are explicitly permitted to continue operating, and local residents face absolutely no restrictions on repairing or renovating their residential houses. Now, one of the most impactful, hard-hitting segments of this entire draft is the definitive phase-out of mining. It's a two-step process. Step 1, an immediate and complete ban on all new mining, quarrying, and sand mining. Step 2, all existing mines must be entirely phased out within 5 years of the final notification or when their current lease expires, whichever happens first. That is going to be a massive shift for the regional economy. The draft also puts a hard brake on massive real estate and township developments. The goal here is to prevent unchecked urbanization. So, any new building projects over 20,000 square meters? Banned. No new townships over 50 hectares are allowed. And any area development with a built-up area of over 150,000 square meters is strictly prohibited. It's a very clear mandate to stop the concrete spread in these vital ecological zones.
Section 5, Regulated Activities and Rights.
It's important to understand that economic activity isn't frozen, it's just heavily supervised now. For example, new hydropower projects can still be approved, but they absolutely must maintain at least a 30% ecological river flow during dry seasons, and they have to be spaced at least 3 kilometers apart. Lower impact orange and white category industries are still allowed, provided they strictly comply with environmental rules. And perhaps most importantly for the locals, standard agriculture and plantation activities are completely unaffected by this draft. So the really crucial point here is captured perfectly in this exact quote from the Gazette. It states that the consent of the Gram Sabha, the local village council, is mandatory for undertaking projects and activities. This specific legal framework gives immense, localized power directly to indigenous groups and traditional forest dwellers over what happens in their own backyards. Finally, Section 6, Future Outlook and Implementation. So how does a massive regulatory draft like this actually get enforced on the ground? Well, it outlines a very clear bureaucratic machinery. The primary responsibility for monitoring falls directly on the state governments themselves. Meanwhile, the central ministry is establishing a collaborative decision support and monitoring center to scientifically track the ecology. On top of that, state pollution boards are mandated to prepare an annual state of health report for their specific jurisdiction within the Western Ghats, ensuring there's continuous public accountability. Which leaves us with this pretty provocative question. Can this draft policy perfectly balance a global biodiversity treasure with a developmental future of 50 million people? It is an incredibly complex undertaking, no doubt. But understanding these rules is the first step. If you found this update helpful, please hit the like button and share this video with fellow members. For more deep dives into the latest environmental regulations and industrial news, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. See you in the next one.